Oh, fuck.
Deep within the Peruvian rainforest, along the mountains of the Andes, a singular man emerges outside of a cave during the year 1200. Manco Capac was the demigod child of the sun god Inti, and after him from the cave emerged a large group of women, consisting mostly of his sisters and extended family. Manco Capac would then proceed to lead these women into the valley of Cusco, establishing it as the capital city for his empire. A smart move, really, considering that the valley not only had rivers connecting it to the rest of South America, but also the ruins of pre-existing structures from past civilizations which they could recycle using their stonemasonry skills. Manco Capac would then establish himself as the head Inca, a sole ruler with absolute power, and would appoint a council of nobles to help him manage the empire and enforce its laws and ceremonies. He then proceeded to have a bunch of incest babies with his sister wives, because you gotta keep the bloodline pure somehow. At least that's what we believe. The Inca didn't have a formal written language, so everything that we know about them is from archaeological sites and Spanish chronicles. In reality, we can only have educated guesses. We can never be sure. That being said, we do believe that the Inca Empire lasted almost 300 years with a total of 16 emperors. To be fair, only 12 of them were actually truly written about, and only like 3 of them were significant, but that's besides the point. Jump cut several years later to 1438. Viracocha Inca, the eighth Inca emperor, had just begun to grow old in age, which is spectacular news for the neighboring Chanca tribe. Viracocha had fought the Chanca tribe before many times, and he knew that they were a force to be reckoned with. Whenever the previous leaders had passed away in the Chanca, they had them embalmed and turned into statues so they could carry them around as godly monuments. It's weird, but considering that the Inca made human sacrifices and had an annual tradition of digging up their mummified relatives to eat and dance with them, who are they to judge? Viracocha Inca, obviously, was advised to leave, which he accepts happily. However, his son, Pachacuti, refused to go with him, staying behind to prevent the Chanca from invading Cusco. The Battle of Cusipampa took place on a lonely hill just outside the city, where Pachacuti absolutely wiped the floor with the invading Chancas, leaving no enemy standing. Even the common folk, called the Alu, got involved, with one woman fighting with such ferocity that it scared the Chanca into retreating. Pachacuti would then be presented with many spoils of war, but refused to take any of them, instead giving them to his father. Couldn't be me. Pachacuti would then go on to become the 10th Inca emperor and would massively overhaul the empire, expanding the territory to its max, reconstructing entire cities, and building some of the most memorable of Inca structures. The working Alu even received benefits. During their work, they would give a small amount of whatever they made, being crops, textiles, or something else, to the empire in exchange for free healthcare, food storage, and annual fees. This sounds amazing. I wonder why it sounds so familiar. Things never really got better or worse for the Inca for a really long time, and life was absolutely amazing. Until it wasn't. Bam! Just like that, smallpox kills approximately 50 to 90% of the total Inca population in the early 1500s, killing the 14th Inca emperor, Huayna Capac, in the process, as well as the next in line to the throne. Man, what could have caused this disease to enter the Americas? No, not quite. That's right, babe. After the Spanish realized Christopher Columbus was indeed not smoking crack, Francisco Pizarro would land on the eastern coast of South America in order to explore the New World. Why, you may ask? It's simple. Glory, God, and most importantly, gold.
You know, dust, nuggets, bricks. A temple of gold where you can pluck gold from the very walls.
The Inca were filthy rich in this stuff. They decorated the walls of their temple and holy artifacts with it, believing that it was the blood and tears of the sun god Inti. Francisco would arrive in the city of Cajamarca on November 15th, 1532, and witness absolute chaos. Turns out the whole not having an emperor due to him being dead of disease thing kinda caused a whole, civil war. The next in line was Huascar, the 15th emperor of the Inca, but he was met by opposition by his half-brother Atahualpa, a formidable warrior who had fought by the previous emperor's side for many years. After some failed attempts of negotiating a peace that ended with some servants getting their nose cut off, Atahualpa would proceed to beat the ever-loving piss out of Huascar's army every chance that he got, until he eventually captured and imprisoned Huascar, forcing him to watch all of his direct family be hung on poles, gutted, burned alive, and left to starve. The Spanish, realizing what they've just walked into, decide to try and peacefully communicate with the new Inca emperor, giving the whole Requerimiento spiel before handing Atahualpa a Bible. Atahualpa would then proceed to look upon the holy word of God, look back at the Spanish, and throw the book to the ground, Francisco's army of 110 men and approximately 67 cavalry members would then proceed to kill off the majority of Atahualpa's warriors and capture him in the span of 30 minutes. Way to go, Atahualpa. You did spectacular there. Atahualpa would pay ransom, but be killed anyways on August 29, 1533. The Spanish would then proceed to raze Cuzco to the ground, stripping of its gold, culture, and rich history. While some like Manco Inca Yupanaqui would attempt to make a revolt, it would eventually all turn up as a failure, as the Inca Empire slowly faded out of existence.